And timing is perfect. Joey Logano out on the racetrack now for his qualifying run. First lap for Joey as he gets to green here.
He really searched for speed throughout that first practice session. He ended up 20th quickest, but Tony actually made a great point, DW. This racetrack set for over 2 hours, and that's normally not very good. Yeah, it just seems like it takes a few cars going before the speed gets back in it.
Yeah, it's not conducive to a very good time. Joey does go to the top of the board right there with a 1936.
Close to the track record.
And this is a guy, let me tell you, this is a guy that I think is feels like he's had a rebirth. He reminds me a lot of Matt Kenseth. Left the team, and Kent's only been with Roush. He'd only been with Penske. This is a second chance. He's going to take advantage of it, boys.
And we got a new track record.
A new track record.
.269 for Joey Logano, the third one out onto the track, and already.
At Bristol was his fourth pole of 2013.
You can imagine why. Denny Hamlin's anxious to turn things around. It has been a very tough year for the FedEx team. Here's Eric Almirola in the number 43 from Petty Enterprises.
And Eric, he determines that he's going to go to the bottom. It doesn't exit on the bottom. He loses a little bit of speed on the exit of turn 2. He's gained a little speed there, Larry.
And his teammate Marcus Ambrose right now is 10th. Doesn't look like Eric's going to be up there where his teammate is. He ends up right now 16th at a 29.98.
The Ford of Trevor Bayne, and now the Ford of Joey Logano. Saw him conversing with teammate Brad Keselowski before climbing on board his car. The hometown kid Brad, 9th right now. We'll see what Joey learned from his teammate.
Daryl, Adam, and myself and some of our producers and directors, we sat down with Joey Logano, and I found it interesting this morning. He told us, he said that he and Brad Keselowski had talked about being teammates as he ends up third quickest, 3 Fords at the top 3. They had talked about being teammates actually for a couple, 10 different pole winners. I think there may be someone in these 45 cars that we've not even mentioned that's just kind of laying in the weeds.
Kyle Busch is the third driver on track, his M&M's Toyota. Coming off turn number 4, back to the stripe to complete his first of 2 timed laps. There's a get up to speed lap and the fastest of 2 timed laps, which is almost invariably the second lap. Kyle has 2 second-row starts in the Daytona 500 and a 4th place finish.
And that's part of the science of qualifying. That first lap is you get the car wound up. You get all the speed you can, running right around the top of the racetrack, right up next to the wall. But as you come off turn 4 and head for the start-finish line to take the white flag, you then want to take the shortest route around this racetrack. And you'll drop to the bottom and you'll run that yellow line pretty much all the way around the track.
Kyle had 2 poles last season, the July race at Loudon, New Hampshire, and the fall race at Phoenix.
His first lap was not quite as quick as Tony Stewart's first lap, but he's going to be second. He gets into the 45 second bracket, 45.97, still well over 195 miles per hour.
Allowed for a shock problem. Jimmy Johnson ended up starting on the pole and winning the race, but Montoya's been one of the quickest Chevrolets throughout practice.
Not going to be the first lap that he was looking for. He ends up 19th on that first lap.
Larry, I don't know what happened there. That's way off of what he practiced.
His teammate Jamie McMurray right now 14th. In fact, we only have one Chevrolet driver in the top 10. Ryan Newman is 9th right now.
Boy, exit of turn 2, that car took off, and that really pushed the tracker to the right.
Car's just not in the track.
Coming back, but it may be hard to overcome that.
Yeah, he's not anywhere near what he practiced.
Nope, 28.60 will be the lap of record.
Time winner and has a chance for a 6th on Saturday night. So Denny Hamlin's on pole. We just showed you the whole thing with Denny and Joey Logano from the March race. Joey's got a chance to bump Denny off the pole here.
It sounded like you might have been out of the throttle a little bit too long right there.
That's 11th.
Like he tried to get a little too much of carrying the speed in there and just had to stay out of the throttle. See if he's able to get back. Yeah, a little better maybe. See if it translates to the speed that he's needing.
Pick it up. 6th place for Joey.
He said at the time that he wouldn't let him win the championship. We'll see what happens, but just spice things up. You go through that in championship battles. When you're the championship leader, you hate putting yourself in that type of position that you kind of made an enemy because you don't know. There's a lot of racing to go, and we'll see what happens.
Joey Logano had a good lap going right there to the line. You can see he just misses the mark that's set by Brian Vicker.
Second lap in the green, Doc.
Hey, get this guy. Just before Joey pulled out a moment ago, the crew ran down to the car, handed him a headset radio, and he talked to his crew chief, Jeremy Bullitt, who's on top of a hauler in the garage area. Jeremy trying to guide him on where he could miss the bumps and have the quick lap. Did it work?
Not quite, Doc. He comes up just a little bit short. Slow 7.939 miles an hour. It's one of the lame ducks in the Sprint Cup Series. Juan Pablo Montoya, whose replacement, the 42 for Target Chip Ganassi Racing, was announced today. Kyle Larson will take the spot, but right now, Juan Pablo's on the clock.
And I'll tell you, the first time that Juan Pablo came to this racetrack, this was one of his best racetracks, Larry. Riding high again, looking good, going for the pole.
Yeah, it just keeps, the tracker just keeps going to the left. Right now, he's flirting with a top 5 run here if he gets off turn 4. Car didn't wash up, and he actually gains a little speed on late exit.
Cars don't get cooled down. These cars have been sitting for a long time.
Now, last year when we had qualifying for the Daytona 500, he was the only driver in the Toyota camp to qualify in the top 10.
Well, Truex is one of those 10 consecutive non-repeat pole winners. 2009 he won the pole for the 500. One of 7 career pole positions in the Sprint Cup Series for Truex.
You know, guys, when you go through inspection, like we said, and you get on the racetrack for qualifying, you just want to run better than you did the day before. And both Tony Stewart and Kyle Busch were able to accomplish that. So they have to be happy with the speeds their cars ran, the times that they were able to post. Martin Truex, like Larry said, top 10 last year in this race, had a really good car in practice yesterday. He's happy with it. But these cars, the Toyotas, just haven't been able to show the speed, the exact same speed that the Chevys have shown. We talked about it in the qualifying show. The Chevys are going to probably be the cars to beat today. 7 of the 10 fastest speeds yesterday were by the Chevys.
Thanks, Michael. Truex third on his first lap, and on the Fox tracker continuing that through lap number 2, where he clocks in at 46.105. That's a 0.6 of a second pickup.
Car, and they never did really find a lot of speed in this backup car.
Ended up 22nd in practice with his backup car. He's pacing a little bit north of that right now on the scoring monitor. 18th is what the tracker says after lap 1. 28.358 seconds.
Doesn't look too bad. Might be able to pick it up here on this second lap, get a little comfortable with the car. Got up off that corner pretty straight and nice. Well, he packed her into turn 3 that time. See the tracker, it took off to the left when he did. See if he can maintain it off turn 4.
He did okay. He's going to
0.191 seconds.
Joey Logano or Dale Earnhardt Jr. on pole position for Sunday's race.
I just mentioned that Jamie was going to be somewhat close. That's how tight this is. 5/100s reacts like a lot.
Okay, beat Junior down in 1 and 2.
Not the wrong way, though.
Gonna be close. But Dale Jr.'s run through turn 4, like you talked about a couple of cars ago, it's gonna make the difference. 11th for Logano. Still on it for his second lap. And the second lap a little bit slower. Logano 11th out of 43.
Reigning Sprint Cup champion, I think it's a different atmosphere, and obviously running well helps you to fit in and enjoy things a lot more. Whoa, hang on, Ariel Marola. You see he had the speed right there for the car. And as slight as that may have looked for us, I can tell you that is a moment inside the race car. You're traveling over 200 miles an hour right there, close to it. Whoa, check that out. We talk about that handshake. I believe Eric's hands are going to be shaking after this one. Second.
There's a lot of breakdancing going on the pedals and a lot of things going on. Clanking and clacking would definitely probably be added to that list. That's a wild deal. You want to talk about being out of the element there. I mean, it's amazing coming on the pit road that fast. The only way we ever go on pit road that fast is to avoid an accident, and it's pretty good chance that you're going to crash coming on pit road like that. So it's interesting. It's exciting. I think the whole thing could have been better. Our lap could have been better. I could have been better coming on the pit road. Exiting, I think I got pretty good off of the pit box. But that's a fun event right there. It's pretty exciting.
Thanks, Clint.
Thank you.
Nice job by Boyer. He is third behind the Busch brothers. Joey Logano in the Pennzoil Ford for Penske Racing. Steve Reese, the crew chief. Logano's third All-Star race, fast in the middle of pit road.
Oh my
hard
God.
On the brakes.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing.
And he's going to make it.
Oh, no! Back up.
Okay, do it.
Another car that's gone over the line, Jay Hackney, Ray Gallahan, and Travis Johnson, the front changer, Jackman, and rear changer going to work. Now, the pit crew coach is the rear carrier, Trent Cherry. They've spent a lot of time working on the chemistry of this group. Still solid stop, even though they lost all that time, Mike, backing up.
They made a great recovery.
They did. I thought he had it.
It was so fast. I mean, I believe that's the fastest.
It is the fastest
pit road that I've seen.
Yeah, by a mile per hour, 158.
And he was so close.
I thought he was going to get stopped.
I did too. But
That's
even that little pushback, still a nice recovery.
A little bit right at the end.
Yeah, because they were only about a second off on the pit stop.
Now, if he'd been in the deeper pit stall toward turn one, he would have been stopped. But he wasn't. And Logano ends up third.
Look at that.
Even with that.
His first lap was a 46.52, which that's about a tenth slower than Danica Patrick's first lap. You can see the tracker, it's going the right direction into the top 5.
Pole sitter for the 500 2 years ago. And the winner in 2004.
And I got to tell you, I know I talked about what line to run, all that kind of. I'd run whatever line he does, because this kid's smart. He knows how to get around Daytona. He hung with his dad long enough to figure that out.
This is the first of the 4 Hendrick drivers to qualify in this session.
Picks up off turn number 4. About a car width wide of the bottom at exit, but as Danica pointed out, you don't want to scrub that car coming off the corner, and Earnhardt ends up 6th.
I think that's an interesting question that James posed, and that is, how did my teammate go so much faster? And that could be something that we'll watch as the race develops this afternoon, Phil. Maybe Jeb Burton went so much faster because he's got his truck turned way out. And maybe when the handling changed, like James says it's going to do in the pack with those faster speeds, that won't be good for Jeb Burton. It'll be really interesting to see how the philosophies of the crew chiefs, how they approach this race today, how it turns out. If I'm Jeb Burton, I'm happy I'm on the pole, but I might be scratching my head saying, why am I a half second faster? What's that mean later?
He has the same question James Buescher has. Exactly the same question. Why am I that much faster than everybody else, especially my teammate?
And you know, they're both worried about it. James is worried because it might be good, and Jeb is worried because it might be bad.
Here's an interesting combination. Joey Logano driving for Brad Keselowski Motorsports. So Joey Logano in his qualifying run goes 15th quick.
DW, I think that's a new official racing term. Them boys on them computers in that truck are doing some good stuff.
Yeah, I love this. The Mac people that take care of the engines, the CAT people that take care of the engines, and some of the motor coaches, we wanted to set the idle on the engine. They did it with a computer. I said, where's the screw at, man? You just go back there and turn the screw up a little bit. He said, oh, no, don't do that. You hook the laptop to it. And that's the way these race cars are. You hook the laptop to them.
They must have had the laptop hooked up pretty good for Joey Logano. Nice effort for him. He goes to 5th. 29.718 seconds.
Here is Juan Pablo Montoya. Spent some time in Washington, D.C. picking up an award, being honored by the Hispanic Heritage Foundation. A very prestigious honor. And now here at the track in Richmond, looking to continue a run of speed that they've picked up over the course of the summer. Very solid, very fast the last month and a half or so.
Yeah, they really have putting themselves in position. We're in position to win here earlier this year. So they would just like to be able to get back to that.
Was a leader with 10 to go, was a leader when the caution came out with 5 to go. But strategy and tires and so on, and the restart did not play into Montoya's favor at Richmond in April. I don't think they expected, I know we didn't expect, for Trevor Bayne to come into this race 12th in the championship. Here's a team with high expectations for the day. Penske Racing with Joey Logano behind the wheel of this 22. Joey, the most recent Nationwide Series race winner here at Charlotte. Won for Joe Gibbs last October. Led the most laps at Talladega. Came within a skosh of winning. Brad Keselowski won at Richmond aboard the 22.
Yeah, certainly a driver and team that we'll watch today to be up there in the mix to try to stop Kyle Busch's dominance and anyone else in that Joe Gibbs camp.
Joey now all of 23 years old. Man, got a handful
to get out of bed this morning at that age.
I'm telling you. Well, the big bobble there on the second lap took a little bit of speed away.
Again.
Or Mark Martin. One of the two.
It's going to be Mark. Over the next 5 years, it'll be Mark Martin.
With an occasional Bobby Allison thrown in.
Yeah, Bobby gets in there every now and then.
Joey Logano isn't going to win many oldest anything prizes. His age matches his car number. Driving the Shell Pennzoil Ford for Roger Penske.
Now that thing looked pretty good getting down in the corner. He wasn't fighting the wheel at all. Got down in there smooth. It is getting a little bit more shade on the turn one down here's two, and that's going to help.
But there you look at the tracker right now, just not showing very good, and they really struggled that entire hour and a half. They were running basically even when the red and the black flag came out at the end of practice, trying to find something in this race car.
Yeah, they were 28th in practice, and he's 23rd right now at a 26.88.
And the tracker's going the wrong direction.
Nope. That's a tenth off of what he practiced.
You heard his comment. That's not it. What that tells me is pretty much they must have wholesale changed that race car between practice and qualifying, and obviously it wasn't what they were looking for.
Nope.
Second lap is quicker, but Logano does not move. Still 23rd at a 26.79. The AARP Drive to End Hunger Chevrolet of Rick Hendrick.
Just a little thing, but when you see sparks, something's dragging the ground, and it's just like hitting the brakes. Only a little thing, but those little things add up.
And they were a long time getting this car through inspection. I mean, they just got out to pit road just a few minutes ago, so it almost makes you wonder if they made some changes on this race car.
Could have, and of course air pressure is a factor, you know, as well. So second lap, it'll probably stop doing that.
Now the tracker shows that Gordon entered turn one fastest, dropped back to 8th, and is now gaining ground on the field. He was the pole sitter here in '99. He's a 3-time winner of the 500.
The tracker's just like I am. It's a little bit confused here because it's so many, these times are so close to each other. It's hunting around trying to figure out exactly where he is.
Gordon trying to fill the front 2 rows with Chevrolets.
Be close.
Knocks Ryan Newman off the outside pole. 45.85, 196.2.
What's interesting is we look at Joey Logano. He's doing double duty. Austin Dillon's doing double duty. In fact, 10 drivers, they just climbed out of those Nationwide Series cars practicing, and they have to cut this lap in qualifying in the Sprint Cup Series.
Interesting you say that. I talked to Roger Penske in Victory Lane when Joey Logano won Michigan. I said, Roger Penske, why are you running the Nationwide Series? The captain said, my drivers want to, my teams want to, they think it makes them better. So, you know, I think they're doing it so much, Larry, they're getting used to the horsepower difference.
Here comes Joey Logano in the 22 from Penske Racing, and he gets a big wobble off 4. But he's currently connected at 1. No, he drops to 3rd.
That's about the 3rd driver. Late exit off turn 4. Just wouldn't quite stick, and maybe they had to pull that throttle back just a little bit.
Last 2 seasons, he has 1 win in 47 starts. That was at Pocono last August. Look at the new colors for the 22. That's Joey Logano at the wheel.
This is the car that was on the pole, set the record last year at 29.067.
And he is tracking very strong here on his first lap. It's going to be close. He may take over the top spot, and does on the first lap. Now, how low can he go?
See, Jeremy Mullins doing such a great job with this car with different drivers, 3 different drivers going to victory lane.
That's a great looking paint scheme. Saw that yesterday. Won't be hard to pick this car out today.
Yeah, from what this lap looks like we can look for him at the front.
Wow.
Yeah, got a little wide right there.
And he's going to take it down quite a bit. How about 29.10 seconds? The old record set by Brad Kay in that car last year, 29.06.
And that makes it real exciting.
Jamie McMurray, winner of so many big races, as you saw on that list a minute ago. Here's Joey Logano.
Again, we see a driver that beats Jimmy Johnson's time through 1 and 2 pretty solidly. But this is the section where they're going to have to be better because Jimmy Johnson was just so good through here. You can see, I mean, Joey Logano's losing a ton of time to Jimmy Johnson at this section.
And that's the interesting part about that technology, isn't it? Yeah. All these people that haven't run yet are sitting there looking at this, and even the drivers that have, comparing their lap to Jimmy Johnson's and trying to figure it out.
I think Jimmy Johnson's going to look at that and go, wow, I could have done a lot better in 1 and 2.
That new track record.
Most of the drivers in the top 10 ran their quickest lap on lap 2. 7 of the 10 fastest. As Juan Pablo Montoya for Chip Ganassi in the Target Chevrolet, 2 times a pole winner here at New Hampshire, comes out for his run.
I finished 24th in the July race. Had to go to a backup car after a practice crash.
He ran a 28.51 in practice. He's running a good bit quicker than that right now. Jumped right back to the gas off turn 4. Really picked up. And loses a little bit at the line. 18th for Montoya, 28.40.
Yeah, just in front of his team. Definitely going to improve, it appears, from lap 1. He's flirting with the top 10. Not sure he's going to.
With a 28.
You've been wide open for a long time. And you're literally driving out of these corners straight at the wall.
Got a green trace here.
He's about 3/10 or a little more faster than he was in practice yesterday on that first lap. Looks like it's going to be quicker yet.
Keeping Ty Dillon from the top spot, Mike.
When we'll tell you what other NASCAR notables won their 400th career start. Now, the qualifying procedure this year is different for the 500. The top 35 rule, guaranteeing the top 35 owners from last year into the race, that is gone. And we're back to the old style qualifying. Jeff Gordon is so happy about being on the front row because if that holds up, that's where he'll start next Sunday. If you are 3rd fastest in today's time trials, all that means is you will start outside pole in your Budweiser Duel on Thursday. You could start 3rd in the Daytona 500. You could start 43rd. A lot of it is up to how those Thursday races, which you'll see live on Speed, will play out.
Joey Logano, a winner here in 2009, but still looking for his first top 10 start at Loudon, driving the Shell Pennzoil Ford, 12th in the point.
He's using all the racetrack, no question about that.
But it just looks like what everybody's fighting is a
second lap 2/10 slower, but Joey Logano right now is quickest.
Early on to maybe do something sooner than you need to, and you don't want to be left on that racetrack at the end holding off everybody unless you can help it. So a good qualifying run can help you administer your strategy in the best way possible, but they're definitely going to have to do what the leaders don't do at the beginning of the race, that being the 99.
Eric Almirola in Richard Petty's Smithfield Ford, looking for his second top 15 start here. He finished top 5 here in the race earlier this year. And he was one of the quickest Fords in practice today.
Yeah, he had a great run here. It's his only top 5 finish of the year, but he was solid from green flag to checker.
6th with a 28.30.
6 to go. Penske teammates back-to-back on the track. Here's Joey Logano. Very fair to describe as one of the hottest drivers of late.
Yeah, absolutely. Just driven his way in the top 10. Got a victory along with that. Sitting in pretty good position. Make the chase.
8th in points, 16 ahead of 11th place with a win. Finished 3rd here in April.
I think the last 5 or 6 weeks we've seen just a real transformation of this driver into and come along in his maturity in the sport. He's always had a lot of talent, but I think you're going to see him be consistently one of the guys to win races and contend for championships.
Good lap here. Picks him up to 7th.
He's just going in the corner. As you know, Jeff, you're swatting flies in there with your hands.
Definitely are. You definitely are.
One of the double-duty drivers this weekend is Timmy Hill. He was the 2011 Nationwide Series Rookie of the Year. Made his debut at this racetrack back in 2011, just one day after turning 18 years old. So now, I'm going to rip the tip. We'll tell you he's another one of the 20-year-old drivers in this field today.
Yeah, and he's been running a lot of Sprint Cup series.
Yeah, he's qualified for the race tomorrow.
He drives for Frankie Stoddard, and Kenny Schrader and him share that cup ride, number 32, Frankie Stoddard's car, usually known as the Federated Auto Parts car. So Timmy Hill is doing both Cup and Nationwide.
Certainly one of the up-and-coming drivers in that Nationwide Series and also the Sprint Cup Series. Got to keep an eye on in the future.
Couple of tenths of a second to happen, but it cost her a half a second on the racetrack.
And she did finish 12th here in the spring and had to start tailing Charlie because of an engine change from practice.
Joey Logano up next in the Shell Pennzoil Ford. 2 second-row starts here for the Connecticut driver. This will be his 10th Martinsville race in a Sprint Cup car.
Just a great season for Joey Logano. We know the championship is pretty much gone as far as the 22 car. He's 75 points out of the lead, but to make the chase for the first time in 16 top 10 finishes, that's a career best for Joey Logano.
1912 on lap 1, third fastest. He's flirting with the front row.
He is the fastest Ford driver so far, and he absolutely is flirting with that front row, and he'll do it at a 1911 outside front row right now.
Brad Keselowski's older brother, 31 years old, from Michigan, has brought a car down here to try to make the Daytona 500. They rolled it out for qualifying. It would not start. So NASCAR puts that car on a 5-minute clock. That's how long they have to get the car running and across the line to begin its qualifying lap. Otherwise, he'll be recorded as no time and start last in his Budweiser dual race on Thursday.
David Reagan completing lap 1. David's lone Sprint Cup Series win came here back in July of 2011. We talked about Paul Menard getting married. David Reagan married longtime girlfriend Jacqueline Butler during the offseason.
Remember, Reagan nearly won the 2011 Daytona 500, but changed lanes on a restart against the rules, was black flagged, all but within sight.
And Trevor Bayne was ready to push him to victory. Trevor wasn't even thinking about pulling out and trying to win the race. He was just going to push Reagan to the finish. They black flag him, and all of a sudden Trevor's leading the race. Says, oh man, look at this.
Quickest Ford right now is Joey Logano, Shell Pennzoil Ford from Penske Racing, fastest at 45.97. Here's Reagan, 46.24. He and teammate David Gilliland.
I don't know how you could go much quicker, but it's a really good day. We have Cessna on board. First race for them in NASCAR. And just as our whole team did a really good job today. We unloaded. The car had really good speed. You could run on the bottom. I'm really hoping that the top groove doesn't come in because our car was good on the bottom, but all around our team did a great job. It's just been a good day.
Joey Logano, the Shell Pennzoil Ford, when he won the pole here for this race 3 years ago, he became NASCAR's youngest ever pole winner. A 15.01 and a flat puts Logano 6th.
Here is Joey Logano. Team placed on probation by NASCAR earlier today for the rest of the season, but Logano, frankly, has had a lot of speed over this season and this summer. And if they cannot let any of these distractions shadow them, he's someone to keep an eye on these next 10 weeks.
Oh, look at this lap. Maybe at the top now.
It is.
Got it.
So that means speed, but we'll wait and see. Hopefully there's a big enough cloud up there. Hopefully it'll stay.
It's playing a little bit of peekaboo, but I think mostly cloud right now, Alan.
All right, Vince, Juan Pablo Montoya, one of those numbers that popped up and down the scoreboard during the practice earlier.
Yeah, as he entered turn 3.
His little celebration. I texted him last night, congratulating him, said, and the celebration begins.
The Budweiser Chevrolet for Richard Childress Racing. It's already known this will be his final season with that team, and he sure started it off with a bang.
I love what he said on the radio. He said, well, there's one for the lame duck group.
Harvick did not show a lot of speed in practice yesterday.
No, they've actually struggled with the car. He complained about no corner speed. The car really seemed to be dropping off in the turns quite a bit. They made an adjustment on that car yesterday one time. It seemed like it picked up, but they never could back that speed up.
Well, Darrell, I have to believe that this car here, it's pretty much what teams will do. This will be a better race car than even what he had last night. I'll bet you this race car races good.
I bet you that race car driver will race good.
Yes, he will. See a little bit of water, a little bit of steam there at the base of the windshield on the right side, getting a little bit warm with all the tape on the nose.
Well, that's, you know, they've probably done everything they can to try to get as much speed out of this car as they can.
23rd.
Yeah, and actually he got through there really good, but that's the thing. They don't feel it. They don't have that feel with this tire that they had before.
Yeah. Here's Joey Logano.
You know, a lot of people talk about these mile-and-a-halfs and how they're so much alike, and we hear all that. It should show you how different this racetrack is with all the drivers we talk about that are so phenomenal at these other mile-and-a-halfs, but don't have top 10 finishes or top 5 finishes, or haven't even come close to wins. Just how difficult a racetrack this is. You see Logano got a lot out of that qualifying lap, 5th quickest.
I think he's going to be pretty good, Larry, because when he was out there when the engine blew in that thing, he was on a pretty fast lap.
Yes, he was. It was going to be a great second lap. That's when it blew up.
I wouldn't count him out.
Kurt Busch from Las Vegas, Nevada. Sprint Cup Series champion and a 3-time runner-up in the Daytona 500, twice for Roush Fenway Racing, and then in 2008 for Penske Racing.
Pushed his teammate to victory that day.
Right, Ryan Newman.
Yeah, and it was a big day for Roger Penske. He won the Daytona 500, but no day bigger for Roger Penske than this last year.
1 year ago, Kurt Busch drove for James Finch. Furniture Row Racing, based out of Denver, Colorado, decided to make a change and put Kurt Busch behind the wheel of their Chevrolet late last season. Team owner Barney Visser convinced by his whole team and management that if we can get this guy, we can win races. And Busch has had a troubled time off the track. He's a bit mercurial with his temper, but he's a wheelman.
Yeah, and they were pretty solid those last 4 or 5 races of 2012. And I think back to his speed weeks 2 years ago driving for Penske. He won the Sprint Unlimited. He won the Budweiser Duel. Led a lot of laps in the Daytona 500, ended up finishing 5th, so a great speed weeks for Kurt a couple of years ago.
And Regan didn't end up in too bad a shape. I mean, he's going to drive for Dale Jr. this year in the Nationwide Series. They won the last race at Homestead last year, so, you know, maybe it worked out best for everybody.
Yeah, and he'll run a limited schedule, just as he's going to be doing here in the Daytona 500, driving that 51 car for James Finch.
37th on lap 1, and this car not gaining speed versus the field as Busch comes around to complete his second timed lap right down by the yellow line. Good line. The car just doesn't have quite as much speed as he would like. Kurt will pick up from 37th to 30th, 46-47.